Yeah, fab. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to Upskilling Energy Advice Teams. My name is Lisa West. I'm the Membership and Operations Officer here at Community Energy England. We are delighted to be partnering with Buckinghamshire Community Energy to bring you this event, which is one of many during Community Energy Fortnight 2023. Thank you very much for joining us today. Please do, like I say, introduce yourselves on the chat with your name and organisation. I'm going to run through an outline of the event today and tell you a bit about CEE before we get started. We've got three speakers joining us today. We've got Kate Meakin from Energise Sussex Coast. Hi Kate. Jill Fox from the NEA. And Alex, hi Jill, and Alex Hartley from Energias. Hi Alex. Following our three speakers today, there will be a Q&A session. So please pop your questions for our speakers in the chat box and we'll collate them as we go through the session and they will be answered as part of the Q&A. I'm just going to go through a little bit of housekeeping before we move forwards. The call will be recorded, so if you don't want to be seen as part of that recording, please do turn off your cameras because it will be shared on our YouTube channel following the event. Okay, so Community Energy Fortnight. This event is brought to you as part of Community Energy Fortnight 2023. CEF is a nationwide campaign that's been running from the 10th of June and it'll be running until the 23rd of June. It's a great opportunity for you to make your organisation's activities visible within the local community and show the rest of the sector and important stakeholders what community energy is all about. CEF 2023 is focused on sharing skills across the sector to help community energy organisations implement new projects, innovate, improve and grow. We encourage you to take part in any way that you can and encourage you to look at the CEF pages on our website as well, and I'll share the link to that in the chat box following my bit here. So, an introduction to Community Energy England. CEE was founded in 2014 by practitioners within the community energy sector to act as the voice of the sector and create a network across the country. Our membership has grown to over 275 community energy organisations and a range of stakeholder organisations. All our work is intended to help clear obstacles, create connections between practitioners and stakeholders and facilitate the work of community energy organisations, therefore benefiting the sector as a whole. We work to make politicians, national and local government officials and network operators aware of community energy benefits and policy obstacles and lobby for supportive policy regulations. If you would like to find out more about our policy work and activities, please do take a look at our policy and advocacy section on our website. There's lots of information on there about our current campaigns and what we've been up to recently. You can see our current consultations on the website as well as find guidance and resources for how you can get involved with all our advocacy work, so please do take a look. And finally, we are a membership organisation for those of you who aren't already members. Please do join us. We invite you to join our network. We'd love to have you on board. We have a very diverse community of active practitioners, dedicated stakeholders and passionate supporters from across the country. Our aim is to foster connections, facilitate learning, inspire collaborations and collectively overcome barriers in the community energy sector. So this slide that I'm showing you gives you a bit more information about what CEE membership can bring for you. I will also put a link into the chat so you can kind of follow that up on the website, but please do consider joining us. And as I said, you can find out more information about membership and how to join on the website. So I hope you all enjoy today's event. It's going to be brilliant. And I will hand over to Kate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I'm going to share my screen and say hello, but I'm going to turn off my video because I'm getting that awful thing where it says internet unstable. So you can see me and turn my video off and I will share my screen. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you a bit about the Energy Champion role. There's lots of energy champions across the country. It's been going on for a while, but this is a particular sort of new training program that we've developed. Oh no, my slides aren't going along. Sorry, everyone.
Kate, do you want me to, I'm just thinking, have we got your slides, Kate?
No, sorry. Let's try it one more time. Actually, what I'm going to do is Give me 1 second, take it out of presenter mode, just in case. Okay. There we are. All right then, apologies about that. So energy champions are basically local people that are enthusiastic about all topics connected to energy. So energy saving, how to save money on your bills, renewable energy, renewable heating, all the stuff that we in community energy are really enthusiastic about. And they're not their experts. So the whole thing about it is it's just residents, individuals, citizens out in their community who want to talk to people about energy, to raise awareness about all the sort of topics that are in the news and everything that we know that we need to do around saving energy. It might also come together as a community and form a group around a community energy project. So there's lots of really, really interesting examples of projects out there. Say, for example, like teams that go in and draft proof or thermal imaging. So there might be something around a specific focus of work. A few examples of typical energy champion activities. So energy advice is the bread and butter. So that's out in community locations, talking to people about how they can save energy. Also perhaps organising workshops, information events, opportunities for people to learn about it. Sometimes it might involve home visits, but the main thing is it's really about that community engagement, so being out in the community, talking to people. So who's it for? The great thing is it's really about entry level. So this is for anyone. You don't learn loads of things, you need enthusiasm. They're chatting to people and this is your thing and this sort of
Is everyone else experiencing, I think, Kate, you're a bit intermittent. I'm not sure why. Is everyone else having trouble hearing Kate, or is it just me? Yeah.
No, I think it is a bit, it's cutting in and out, Kate, unfortunately.
Kate? I'm going to turn off my camera just in case that helps. Maybe it's a bandwidth thing. Maybe if we all turn off our cameras. Oh, I think we've lost Kate.
Jill, if you're happy, we could perhaps move over to you and give Kate some time to hopefully get her internet connection sorted. Would that be okay? Perfect, because you're on mute. Sorry, Jill, I know I'm putting you on the spot here. I will share your slides if you're happy to do that.
Yes, that's absolutely great. Just carry on, Lisa, that's great.
Thank you, Kate. Jill, sorry. Thank you.
Fine. Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Jill Fox. I'm based here up in Newcastle and I work for National Energy Action. So just a little bit about National Energy Action. We are a fuel poverty charity. We work nationally across England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland to ensure that people can live in a warm, safe home. Could you move the slide on, please, Lisa? Thank you. So just a little bit about National Energy Action before I move on to our main qualification. National Energy Action was a charity that was founded in the 80s by some Durham students that went to Durham University. They realised they did a project around energy awareness in the north, in Durham specifically, and they set up a charity with the aim of looking at fuel poverty. So since our inception, we started a very long time ago, 40 years ago, with the Level 3 award in energy awareness. And this is an introduction-based qualification which is approved by City and Guilds. Lots of energy champions and people across the country might already have this qualification. It's been the industry standard for many years, often made into a requirement for people who are working in energy advice. It's been taken up many years by fuel companies, utility companies, local authorities, housing associations, and usually people will ask for it as a minimum qualification for their advisors. To date, this is an approximate figure, but over 28,000 people have completed the course to date. Again, it's we run lots of different projects, and we're currently working with Community Energy England, and that's a lovely little project and a lovely little service to work with. Lisa, can you just move that slide forward for me, please? Thank you. So the no formal entry requirements for the 6281 Level 3 award in energy awareness would do suggest that learners have basic literacy and numeracy skills. Some of the areas we found where people struggle is with, we do look at fuel calculations in detail and how to support those who are trying to figure out their energy use and how to understand the energy use at home. The course objectives are a little bit further on in the slides, but we have the controlled examination attached to this qualification, and this controlled exam includes written activities. We have 2 papers, and we ask people doing this qualification to do some role-playing simulation as if they were in an advisor role, and that's nice. It gives people the opportunity to apply what they've learned and show that they can give advice to an examiner. Again, we have 2 sort of different methods at the moment. COVID put a stop to face-to-face, but that was our main way of delivering energy awareness. People would go on to our 3-day face-to-face course, and then they would do the exam later on. We've adapted to an e-learning method, which is really nice as well. However, I may be old-fashioned, but I don't think you can take away from the 3-day face-to-face tutorial. If people are very self-directed, I think the e-learning works really well. But we're trying to meet people's learning styles as we get the course more sophisticated and move along with that. Could you move that forward, please, Lisa? Thank you. So it's been running for over 30 years. We've talked about the aims of the course. It is a basic level. I will say, keep reinforcing that. The course is aimed to equip those providing basic energy advice with the knowledge they need to give advice about energy saving methods and working out energy usage. Again, I've talked a little bit about the assessments. I won't go into too much detail about that unless anybody has any questions later on. Could you move that on again, please, Lisa? Thank you. So if you do come on to do the Level 3 energy awareness delivery, these are our methods at the moment. And I know that CEE are going to be delivering the face-to-face and have a few opportunities for learners to access face-to-face learning through a few cohorts that they have booked. I won't talk too much about that. I would be stepping on Kirsty's toes, and she will know who she has booked into those cohorts and how many spaces are available in the coming weeks for the opportunity for other courses to be delivered. Could you move that on again, please, Lisa? Thank you. So again, at the moment, NEA working with CEE, so they're going to deliver the energy awareness on behalf of NEA. So if you are looking for the energy awareness Level 3 award, you'll need to contact Kirsty or Kirsty or Duncan for the costs for those. Lisa, could you just go back to my objectives for the learning objectives? Because I think I've just missed one slide out. If you bear with me, it might be a bit much for the thoughts there. Next one along. Oh, sorry. The other way, Lisa. Thank you. There, that's the one. It might not come up. All the course objectives aren't going to come up on there. But again, that's absolutely fine. I'll just, that's absolutely fine. I can go through the course objectives with you, which are, the sections we look at are making sure that people can understand their energy usage and how to work that out with the different appliances they may have in the home, which ones are very power hungry. We look at the causes of condensation and dampness. Again, when you think about the government legislation coming out and the Great British Insulation, new ways of working. Again, we look at insulation and condensation a lot. We've talked about insulation for a lot of years, about how that can help with energy usage and people in fuel poverty. So again, I can't remember every single objective on there, but if you want to ask some more in-depth questions, I'll go back to Lisa and let Lisa carry on with the presentation, and I'll look at some objectives for you for the questions and answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. That was great. Thank you. Yeah, do put your questions in the chat and we will come to them at the end. I think Kate has rejoined us, but we're going to go to Alex from Energise now to talk about her sort of top-up course, sort of supporting the NEA course. So over to you, Alex. Are you there?
I'm here. It will probably make more sense if Kate can come back in, because of, so there's a kind of context to what I'm going to talk about.
We're just sorting out some technical issues, Alex, so
okay,
let's just go with you if that's okay.
I'll do a little bit with you then. Okay, so hello, I'm Alex Hartley. I've been doing community energy advice and fuel poverty projects for nearly 20 odd years. My background's training and learning. If you're at the beginning of your energy advice journeys, well done. You've seen the light, you're coming on board with us, and it's a huge problem that isn't going anywhere. So good choice. Well done for just being here. The thing we thought about, the problem we were trying to solve with what we've developed was people might do a kind of introductory sort of champions program, or the NEA Level 3 Jill was just talking about. And then there's the gap to getting out there and delivering energy advice, whether it's through a cafe or clinic or within the community. And also there's other parts that qualifications can't cover because it's changing all the time, and there's so many facets to this whole subject. There's also that confidence building and that skills practice of applying all this knowledge in conversations with people that isn't onerous, but actually does still achieves what the project needs to achieve, while honouring the person as a natural human being with thoughts and feelings, and don't want to be bored to tears by being made to talk about their energy bill for an hour or more. So let me go over to the slideshow before. So you've had the basic training or the qualification, but now what? You might be starting as an organisation to do a community energy advice project, never done one before, or you've got some new volunteers or workers attached to a project, and they might have transferable skills and pockets of know-how and their own lived experience, but how do we get them up to speed as quickly as possible? My personal opinion is it's a two-pronged approach. So today I'm talking about the community energy advice champion or advisor skills course, but I also think it's an ongoing peer-to-peer and self-reflection coaching process, which is another thing, which helps us reflect on what we're learning and how we developed, and also to not just bond and as a team and share learnings, but also to be as useful as possible to the clients that we serve. And they're particularly important because they are usually the most vulnerable in our communities. So why this course, and a bit about me? So just to try and create a veneer of credibility, I know what I'm on about. I'm a co-founder of CELSI. We are a multi-award winning community energy group in Southeast London. We have been going nearly 9 years. We support over 1,000 people every cold season with energy advice projects, but we're also very agile and creative and a little bit wacky, that we'll just think that seems a good idea, let's try it. And then it gets spawned and snowballs, and then we're suddenly doing another type of work which we probably don't quite have enough resources to do, but we still do it anyway. I cut my teeth working for a community energy project 9 years ago, 20 years ago, and then I've been the professional development manager for the Energy Institute and everything in between. So I've probably forgotten more myself than I know. I did my NEA course nearly 20 years ago, and that's why I couldn't find my certificate when I was trying to find it. Now, what this means for the course is that what we've developed is a kind of real world, a bridge between the qualification that the City and Guilds has to sort of, you know, keep fairly static, to being a bridge towards the real world. So more on the communication skills, more on topics like the water saving or safeguarding or data protection. I'll show you a quick overview of what the course content and layout is in a moment. But basically, this is a kind of solution to be that stepping stone between, okay, now how do you get going as an advisor, and a little bit about a project as well, and how and where to connect with people to do this work, which Kate would have gone on to say a bit more about in her session. So we needed this course to be able to apply everything that we'd learned, to be able to be agile as possible, and it could be flexible because we could do it online. So this was funded through a project that CEE got some funding from Power to Change from the lottery. No, that is the lottery, and a bit of extra help from Westmill. I was going to copy and paste all of their logos in that bottom right hand corner to show how auspicious the backers of this initiative were, but then I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to have to get all their permissions. I'll just put that instead. So that's very much me in my approach in action, you know, do whatever you need to do to get the thing done. So this shows how we're going to have a solution to help those advisors get confident and go on a journey. And there's a photo there of TT. Now TT started as a volunteer for CELSI. She did some community energy advisor champion training. Some training I developed, well, I don't know, 8 years ago. And then you can actually see she's got a CELSI t-shirt on, because she then went on to become a paid worker for CELSI. She's subsequently gone on and got work with an eco installer and a council. So we were a good proving ground for her. And during that journey, she also undertook her NEA Level 3, and she's also been expanding her knowledge from where she previously lived in the world to actually using her renewables know-how too. Now, this story of TT shows that you can go on this evolution, if you like, as you build up your knowledge and skills and confidence. So you might start off with a quite simple kind of cafes and workshops and clinics type of project, and evolve through to something like CELSI has, which we've now got. Well, I think about 12 to 14 of our staff are on energy advisors now, and we have telephone based online, we do home visits, we do workshops, we do frontline worker training, we do cafes, this was Woolwich Council library here. But how do you actually talk to people and stop them, to entice them to sit down and have a conversation about energy bills and help people improve their lot? So by doing this in this format, it means we can help people go on that learning journey themselves by folding it and practicing, having a look at case studies of what somebody might present with, if you like. I'm just now going to show you what we actually cover in the course, and I'm going to send this to, who am I going to send it to? Somebody afterwards. so it can get shared around with attendees. Now let's get to the right thing to share with you. Oh, go away. Exit full screen. Word doc. Share back. I'm sorry, I'm now so old I have to talk out loud while I do things because I've got a sieve memory. Sorry about that. Right, share screen. And that's the one. Yeah. So this is what we came up with. It was to help people covering the common challenges and issues around topics that aren't able to be included in the qualification, but also the skills about everything from creating an opening to approach people cold in a community library right through to conducting a structured conversation that gets results over Zoom with a potential client. So we cover everything from looking at the structure of the advice conversation, how to play the system, if you like, to get the best outcomes for people by changing payment methods, which isn't so much of an issue now, but it was quite a big issue until fairly recently. How to start the conversation, how to best utilize the services offered by Citizens Advice, and also looking at the communication skills and a really good practice on role play. And that is never the same as real world, but it does break the back of getting everything all lined up together. The second day we look at changing out meters and a deeper dive on kind of quick and easy energy saving tips and doing it room by room so that people can actually think about a big deep dive for the client they're being presented with if they've got sort of, you know, one aspect of energy efficiency covered. We look at partnering and referring with confidence to other organizations, and also, you know, look at stuff around self-care, GDPR, health and safety, and other things that might seem a bit boring but are also very important, especially because, you know, as I was saying to Kate earlier on, that you know, this can be really profoundly rewarding work, but it can also have, you know, a costing of energy for itself, because what it does is sometimes touch on really people's real lives, and they can be heartbreaking. And so how to cope with that as a team or as an individual project worker. Anyway, we ran these sessions for over 2 Zoom sessions with bits of homework in between. And basically, well, I couldn't have paid people to give as much successful feedback, if you like, from our course. We basically, I'm actually going to show it's not just me being practical or biased rather, but actually not only did we look at these areas here, but some of the feedback that we got from the participants really helped endorse the idea that we'd had to create this course. And what it's done is it's created a kind of piece of a resource for new and existing teams to look at how to embed a kind of continuous learning and improvement culture within their organizations and with their projects. And actually, it's going to help grow our sector, because I believe that community energy, us all being energy nerds, is the natural home for being energy specialized advice providers. So that was a very whistle-stop tour, and it's also very affordable. So I think in total it was 1,500 to just cover that. And the other thing Kate would have talked about is that if you are a new group with, you know, not so much fundraising experience, we can help you with some pointers and feedback and templates for applying for funding to get this training paid for, because we want an army of everybody doing it. And so we're keen to really help people make this happen because it's needed.
Great, thank you very much, Alex. That's a lot of information. Thank you very much. I think we can go back to Kate now. It's a little bit asked about
yeah,
are you there,
hi,
Kate?
everyone. Yes, can you hear me okay?
We can hear you, and I think Lisa's going to share your slides. Is she?
Yes, we're trying this. We're seeing if it's going to work.
Brilliant.
Okay,
all right.
so yeah, on to the first slide. We skip along to, I think it was a couple of slides in. Yeah, and then maybe on the next one. Okay then, so just, I think we got up to here, but just to make this clear, so this is, if we're thinking about all these different training courses we've talked about today, I'd say this is the entry level. So if you're part of a community energy group, you've never done energy advice before, but you know it's something you want to do, then this is sort of designed for you, or you're someone that's just really interested in this area, again, not much previous experience, this is designed for you. So it really is about the first step into energy advice, and it's very tailored around the sorts of conversations and the sorts of questions that are going to come up when you're out and about in the community. So say, for example, it's the village fair and you're there, it's designed around what are the sorts of conversations you'll be having, what's the sort of advice that you want to give, or the sorts of topics that you want to raise around like saving energy and so on. And it's also skills based. So we're not just focusing on what you need to know, we're also looking at community engagement skills, the way you approach this as much as the knowledge itself. And also it's really flexible. So the sort of idea of an energy champion, it's not a fixed role. You'll get some champions that just concentrate on maybe organising events, and others that set up community energy projects. So part of what we want to do in the community energy world is really support the enthusiasm and that local knowledge, like you know what's going to work really well in your area. So, and the Energy Champion sort of project can support that. So if we could go on to the next slide. Oh, that's just a nice photo from champion training that I ran the other day in Eastbourne. And on the table there's a retrofit house game, which Alex recommended. And so that just shows the sort of, it's very interactive, like the whole day. On to the next slide, please. So these are the sort of 4 steps of what's involved. Firstly, just to let you know that this training has been developed, it's the accumulated wisdom of myself. So I've been doing this for 7 years. I've been an energy advisor, I manage the energy advice service. Also Alex, who you've met today, who is the font of all knowledge on this area, and Tara from Exeter Community Energy, who've got an incredible energy advice service, and I think 50 energy champions down there. So we all came together because we wanted to put, you know, all our knowledge and all our wisdom together and create something really, really good for volunteers wanting to get started. So the first session, we look at everything you need to know to give the basics of energy advice, and we've themed it around the 5 sort of most impactful core things you can do as a volunteer out in the community. So I'll explain them in a second. The second session, the first session is a whole day and it's in person, and it can be delivered online, but I love in-person things because part of this project is around bringing people together, becoming a network of volunteer champions. So I think if we can, we'll do that first session in person. It makes a huge difference. Second session is half a day, and that's online, and that's focusing down on community engagement. So it's both some soft skills around how you engage with the community, but it's also creating that plan of the local approach, and that will really vary from area to area. So we'll think about what are the sort of characteristics of your community, what's the interest of the group, okay, so what are we going to focus on here? And in some areas it might be retrofit, in other areas they might want to do much more around fuel poverty or emergency support. So that's, you know, it will be tailored to what fits locally. In the third session, that's all the sort of nuts and bolts of volunteering. So making sure that everyone keeps themselves safe, client safe, looking at data protection, safeguarding, policies, and sort of the ongoing support offer. And then finally, it depends where in the country you are, but if you're in Sussex, then there's ongoing support. So that will be with a volunteer coordinator. If you're not in Sussex, there's ongoing information learning sessions, similar to this style of one. So lunchtime learning about all the different topics that might come up when you're giving energy advice. If we could go to the next slide. Oh, sorry, it's gone funny, but very quickly, module 1, we look at 5 key areas. So the whole morning is focused on helping people save energy, and that goes from everything from the very small stuff to bigger retrofit things. Then in the afternoon, we'll look at really understanding people's bills, how to get their bring down bills, different payment methods, understanding meters. We'll look at the priority services register, discounts and schemes, and how we can make referrals. And then in session 2, which is the next slide, which is the half a day, it can be on Zoom, it can be in person. And as I said, we'll focus in on the community engagement and the plan for that local area. And we'll also do some role play practice, so have a little go at being a champion. Next slide, please. So module 3 is around the policies, procedures, so just all that sort of volunteer type of things. And then if we go on to the next slide. So in terms of how your group can get involved, so we have, you can come on board with our project if you're in East Sussex, and it's all fully funded by the Lottery Community Fund. And you'll also be able to access 3 years of ongoing mentoring support, and it's quite in-depth support. If you're not in East Sussex, then you could have a look and see if you're in one of the Community Energy South pathway areas, because you can access Energy Champion training through that project. So I believe it's Hampshire, Essex, South Downs National Park, Surrey, Central Bedfordshire and Suffolk that are in that scheme at the moment, but I know they're growing very quickly, so do check out that website. Or alternatively, you can just contract us to do that. So myself, Alex and Tara are available nationally to do that training for your group, and it can be delivered in person, online. We're happy to travel, so do contact us. And just to give you an idea of cost, it's around £2,500, but we can certainly help with ideas for fundraising, like awards for all by the lottery is a great first stop. Next slide. Okay, yeah, just wanted to end with my final sort of climate change symbol at the moment, which is the boulder. And so this is my sort of why you should get involved. And as we all know and feel and understand, the climate change issue feels like pushing a boulder uphill. But actually it's not pushing it uphill, it's downhill. That we know what we have to do. So all sorts of sectors are addressing it. What we need isn't new answers. So I like to think of this as we're pushing a boulder downhill, and actually what we need is as many hands as we can get on the boulder. So in terms of energy champions, the more people we can have in our communities, talking to people, making information accessible, thinking of interesting ways to get information out there, we've all got our hands on that boulder trying to do something around the climate problem. Okay, so on the next slide are my contact details, so please encourage you to get in touch. Love to hear from you, and I can tell you a bit more. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. That was great. And really, really inspiring stuff about how anybody at any level can get involved. So thank you very much. So we'll move to the Q&A. I will basically read out some of the questions that have been in the chat, and speakers, if you want to jump in, if you put your hand up, I'll generally sort of start with the person to whom the question appeared to be directed, but if you have an answer, please do put your hand up, and then we can ask you as well. So Phoebe asks, Jill, this is to you. What's the demographic of the NEA Energy Awareness participants? What kind of people are they? Are they classifiable?
No, they're not classifiable. At the moment, we work with lots of different projects, and I'm just presenting for Kirsty today with regards to working with our CEE project. But we work nationally on different levels with different funding streams to, again, get our message out there. We do lots of train the trainer with different partnerships, so their staff are trained to deliver our qualifications and get the message out themselves. Does that answer your question?
So I think probably, and Phoebe, feel free to jump in if you want. I think what she was asking was, is it retired people? Is it young people? Is it people who already work in energy?
Oh, it is absolutely across the board, Kirsty. It is people who are just joining the sector, like Alex said, brand new people who are just joining the sector, are in roles either as community champions, volunteers. It's absolutely a huge mix. It really is.
Okay, so they're more driven by passion. Alex, do you have a view on that? Who are your people that you find want to get trained up?
Anyone and everyone. It could be people that are totally new to this, to people that might be renewable engineers as their day job, through to people that work in welfare rights, through to retired people or recent graduates who want to do something to take practical climate action. It's a really tangible way of people actually, rather than, gluing themselves to stuff and protesting, which is, on one end of the spectrum, then you've got the other end, we're kind of in the middle where we're kind of taking practical action at a kind of hyper local level. One thing I didn't mention was both the champions training and the advisor training can be accredited by AQA, the country's largest examining body, and that's, I think, about 60 quid per learner if you want it certificated or accredited. It's not the same as the qualification. The NEA Level 3 Energy Awareness course is kind of like the gold standard for a qualification, giving energy advice for all those different cohorts that Jill was just sketching out there. But anyone and everyone, pretty much, it can be open to everyone. The only thing that lightly tangles people up sometimes is there's a tiny bit of maths, but it's not really maths, is it, Jill? It's not really maths.
Thank you, Alex. And Phoebe's also asked to Jill, do you have a rough idea of how many participants actually use their learnings and go out and give energy advice and actually convert it to action?
Absolutely, we have that data, and unfortunately I'm not a data person. We have a data specialist, and we run reports on that all the time for our senior management team. They need to know that information. Again, if you look on our website at National Energy Action, you might get some statistics there that can help you. But at the moment, the data off the top of my head, I didn't include that in my slide. I wish I had now a little bit of data. But we have to report on that. For our funding, they want to know how many people use this on a weekly basis in their role of volunteer or employment. Something.
All right, well, maybe I can drop you an email about that,
yeah.
and we can put it out on the event page.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to that one, Phoebe. So Andy has asked, how do you keep the champions engaged long term? Like long term, how do you keep them interested in doing their work? Kate, I'm going to put that one to you, if that's all right.
Okay, thank you. I think the crucial thing is champions come on board the recruitment part, and so to me it's much better to have a smaller group of champions who are really enthusiastic, and then to work with them to develop a project that makes sense for their local area. So for example, you might, I've noticed with other champion groups that some people really want to do something around fuel poverty, but actually the area that they live in, the connections that they have, they live in an affluent area, it would make much more sense for them to do something around promoting all the stuff you can do to save energy and retrofit. So I think that sort of initial stage of getting that group together and making sure that the activities are suitable for the area, the people just are really into it, it's their thing, is probably like the best first step. And then going forward, I think having that network, so that peer-to-peer support that I mentioned, which is why I love the in-person things. And so we organise quite regular workshops and information evenings, and they are so energising because you get all these people together that are interested in this type of stuff, and you learn new things and you meet new local people. So I think they're a really sort of good way to keep that energy and momentum as well.
Brilliant, thank you. Alex Meyerson asks a question: how do you identify and support more vulnerable, marginalised households? How do you reach the hardest to reach? Oh, sorry, Alex, did you want to come in on that? How do you keep them engaged? Sorry.
Oh, well, yes, I can. Key things are having as practical and basic as fortnightly or monthly get-togethers, so people can, you do a micro teach on a topic or a new happening, because let's face it, every other week there's a new thing at the moment connected to this, but also so there can be a debrief, and you know, people can share the circumstances of a really challenging client or a heartbreaking one, and so they can connect and you can share the learnings in that way. Also by checking in with them, basic, you know, 101 volunteer support, find out about what their motivations are and map in opportunities. Somebody might want to use their day job skills from being a social media manager, for example, so give them that opportunity, or they might want to know a bit more about how a board works, so give them that exposure. So it's a two-way street all the time, but also set their expectations about your resources as an organisation, so they don't think there's like an IT department that's going to sort everything out magically, or that you know, there might be some lag time between them completing the training and getting going delivering the training, depending on the type of project.
Okay, thank you. So how do you, Alex, do you want to go with this one as well? How do you identify and support those more vulnerable, the hardest to reach?
Well, there's lots of different ways you can find the hard to reach, if you like, and where there's lower super output area data on where the government officially thinks, and it's almost at kind of ward level data, not quite street by street, pretty much, of homes that are at risk of or in fuel poverty. However, there's, especially if you're getting going, actually using the kind of intelligence already in the community, but also going to where the people that you want to connect with go. So everything from a food bank or a flu clinic, or a citizen's advice that's not so, you know, energy active, if you like. So that's a way of kind of connecting with those people. And also the power, you cannot underestimate the power of word of mouth. Working with, like, you know, there's a really strong pensioners forum. They've got an amazing reputation for being fierce and really active. Partner with them so you're not reinventing the wheel, and they've got already that trusted networks into those communities. So it's being energy efficient yourself by piggybacking on what is already out there. But also, while you might just want to focus on home visits initially and then expand it out, and just not trying to do all things for all people at once, to get going.
Thank you. Just moving on to Anthony Claydon has questions around how do you choose which route to go? Would you train an energy champion, or would you go for the level 3 award? Would you train energy assessors to other professional standards? So for example, retrofit assessors or coordinators, or would you go for being a franchisee of the cheese project, the first thermal? Does anybody want to jump in on that? What do you choose, or does it depend on what's going on in your area?
I think it really depends on the enthusiasm for the group. and what is your direction of travel. And you're going to have to make it happen. So I think go with what you want to do. All of those things are really, really necessary and needed, and they can, you know, they can all happen at other times. So start with the one that brings you the most enthusiasm.
Brilliant, thank you. Anthony again says, do you recommend the use of thermal cameras? Do you talk about that at all in any of your training? Alex is shaking her head. Okay.
We are going to, there's a lot of interest in thermal cameras from energy champions that we've trained so far. So we are going to run some training. Avesca are going to deliver that for us in September. It's sort of seasonal. So yeah, I think they're a useful tool. I've had my training myself, and it's much more complex than I realised. So it's not as easy as looking at a camera. But I think they do have a role, and I know that groups are using them successfully. So
just to add to what Kate said, I'm currently working with someone from Community Energy Birmingham at the moment, looking at developing a course which, regardless of whether you're the able to pay market or a vulnerable household in fuel poverty, that the whole project is around energy advice regardless. So if someone's looking at retrofit with a bit of financial contribution for an air source heat pump, underfloor insulation and some PV panels, it's the same front door as somebody that, you know, has got billing issues, a mold and condensation issue, and they don't understand how their energy bills have suddenly not just doubled or quadrupled, but are exponentially, unexplainably bigger. So ultimately, that's my kind of, you know, the golden chalice of aiming towards that. Sometimes it doesn't, you just present the client with different things based on their circumstances, but because of how they're funded currently, they're kind of, you do have to have the kind of two different sort of project approaches and doorways. But there's a couple of retrofit skills advisors at the moment, and the current career path is kind of, once you've, I think the highest qualification, tell me if I'm wrong, Jill, is, do you do level 4 or 5 through NEA?
Yeah, yes, we do the level 4 in renewable decarbonisation and renewable technologies. Yeah,
so then you've got like a crossover kind of with a DEA, which can do EPCs and that sort of thing, and then you've also got like the retrofit coordinator and assessor, but there's also a kind of advanced energy advisor qualification, which, you know, big respect to NEA that you've got something that goes towards that from our point of view in the community energy sector. But there's a bit of a gap. But if I was getting going and, you know, I had a certain amount of money, I would think, okay, what are the most important things? Having somebody to support the champions, having the basic skills to get going, and just sucking it and seeing, trying, getting out there, testing stuff. You don't need that many resources to get going, to just like, don't be scared of it. And there's loads of people in this sector that is really passionate and experienced in doing this stuff. So just go help over here, and we will, when we've got capacity, you know, come and step in and help. I see on the call there's a couple of people that actually went through the CEE project. So they had the advisor to top up course that I did, and they also did the NEA course relatively recently. So if they want to talk about what their experience was, I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus here, so you don't have to take, and you know, this is going off topic, but it might be interesting to hear from them what their experience and journey was like. But let's
see if we can get through the questions first, and then if there's time at the end, that would be great. Jill, did you want to come in on that question or anything? You had your hand up.
Yeah, sorry, really, it was just to reiterate and just to reinforce what Alex was saying about National Energy Action's level 4. And when you talk about retrofit assessors and advisors, our level 4 is more about impacts, technologies and solutions, and it very much comes from the research we've done with people having the low carbon technologies fitted and using them in their homes. So all the information and the e-learning comes from like a homeowner or a person using these low carbon technologies. It comes from their angle rather than being, you need to fit it this way and you need to fit it that way. So I just wanted to be clear about that.
Thank you. So talking about funding, which has come up a little bit, Eleanor Vamplew asked before the event, actually, is there funding available to access the courses? And, you know, can you get that for level 4 as well? I think the question is, where have you, people who've used your training, for example, Kate, your training, or Jill, where do they get their funding from? And is there help out there for people to put those bids together?
Yeah, I think I mentioned Awards for All. That's really would be my first point for anyone looking for funding, just because it's quite a simple application form and it's designed for communities without loads of fundraising experience. It's very sort of accessible. In terms of fundraising support, if you are in a Community Energy South Pathways area, then they have a fantastic fundraiser who can help. So that's out there. I'm not sure beyond that, there's all the different regional networks, isn't there? So I don't know if there's anything there. And definitely, if you haven't already, join the Community Energy England newsletter, because then you hear about all the funding that's coming up as it comes. And if you do want to get the Energy Champion training, then please just get in touch with me and I can let you know a bit more about any other ideas I have.
That's great. So would you be able to help people putting the costings together for their bid then, and kind of almost in a sort of template format?
It's sort of, I could share one that we've done. So they've changed the form since then, but it's, yeah, don't be too intimidated by the fundraising, but it's quite a simple project, this one. So yeah, we can share what we've done. You can sort of adapt it.
Thank you. Alex, do you have it, or Jill, do you want to have any feel for where funding can come from apart from what Kate said?
Again, with regards to National Energy Action, we have a separate section that deals with fundraising, and we, similar to CEE, where we have a membership and non-membership route for access to our service. To be honest, I'm going to be absolutely frank, my knowledge on funding is very limited. My manager is the best person to speak to about that, but I know we access so many different funding streams, and where we have to report on, obviously we have to validate what we spend that on, where that money's gone to. Has it gone to this project? Has it gone to that project? So it depends where our funding's coming from, what we're allowed to use it for, if you like, and who is partnered up with us so they can access that funding to get the training. It's very complex, and I'm new to the funding stream, so you'll have to excuse me.
So I guess basically, if you're interested in finding out how NEA can support fundraising to get onto their courses, then contact you directly.
Absolutely.
Okay, Alex, did you want to come in on that one?
Also, working with regional bodies like Community Energy London or Community Energy Birmingham or Regen or CSE or anybody like that, and also, you know, more established groups. Long as, you know, we can meet ourselves coming backwards, we will kind of, you know, give some redacted examples to friends, community energy friends, and cooperate with each other, not for, you know, crib copying, but to get some inspiration, how to structure things that might give you a greater chance of success. So yeah, we need to sort of share and learn together as much as possible, and that's one of the beauties of community energy, that we do that.
And in fact, on Monday we did run a funding applications workshop, which actually drew on some very experienced fundraisers. So please do check out the Community Energy England YouTube channel, because all of those workshops, the recordings are there, and they're well worth a watch in your spare time, or in fact in your work time, because if you are looking for funding, you know, it's free advice and it's invaluable. So we need to wrap up there. I just want to say thank you so much to Kate, Alex and Jill for your presentations, for the effort you've put in and giving us your time and expertise today. That's so helpful. And thank you also for everything you're doing to ignite energy advice and galvanize the troops. So thank you very much for that. And thank you to everybody who has come along, and I will hand over to Lisa to sign us off. Thank you very much.
Yeah, just echoing what Kirsty said, thank you to our speakers and thank you for everyone who's attended. As I've mentioned before, please do consider joining us if you're not already a member. Please do reach out to us if we can be of help to you in any way, and I hope you've all enjoyed the session. Thank you for joining CEF 2023. Keep your eyes peeled on our website for more events coming up. It finishes on the 23rd, so not long left to go. And as Kirsty said, please do look at our YouTube channel. We've got all our events recorded there. So yeah, it's been lovely to see you all. Thank you and have a great afternoon.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thanks. Bye.
Just quickly, I was wondering if Kirsty and Lisa, you wanted to, are you going to be doing a feedback form to attendees, or having a debrief, or shall we just go, oh good, some people found that useful, see you later?